Minnesota. I'm your host, Alan Tracy.
And I'm Rahana Power.
And today we have Gael Palen with us, actress Gael Palen. How are you doing today?
I'm doing really good. How are you guys?
Good.
Doing great. Really excited to have you on. Thank you for joining us today.
Glad to be here.
Gael, before we jump into all the nitty-gritty that we're here to discuss today, first, can you tell us a little bit more just about yourself on a higher level, or like a non-film necessarily level? Is there like a special, fun, cool thing that you do that others, might be totally aware of? Maybe you've kept it secret up until now.
Yeah, when I was in grade school, I had a couple friends who were in circus, and they taught me how to ride the unicycle. So I still retain that knowledge for some reason, and I own a unicycle now, which I take out from time to time.
Oh, wow. That's awesome. Where do you do that? Just like around like the lakes or something, or?
Pretty much just kind of outside around the blocks. I get some very strange looks, or people are like laughing and looking at me, and I'm like, yeah, dude, what's up?
Oh my gosh, that's awesome. I can imagine like watching, like if people laugh at you, you'd be like, really, do you want to try this? Like you can't, like I'll laugh at you if this is that funny.
There we go.
That's awesome. So you had friends in the circus.
Yeah.
I'm curious about that. How, when, where, what?
Yeah.
I think it was Cirque du Soleil, I want to say, that they were a part of in the cities here. It's like a little, or no, maybe Circus Juventus. One of those little places. But, it was like a little program for kids that they went to, and we liked it and shared some of their skills with the class.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
How fun. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, we'd be in like PE class, and we'd have all these random like free day equipment stuff, and then we just whip out those unicycles and give it a go.
That's super neat, and definitely something unique. Like I don't know that I've ever met someone who's been able to ride a unicycle before, so that's super cool.
I'm glad to be the first.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think about that, and I'm like, do you have speed? What's your deal? Or is it more balance, or how do you?
It's definitely more balance. I remember when I was learning, there was a lot of falling involved.
Right.
But it's like, you have to make sure your weight is centered and that you're not like leaning too much forward or too back.
Mm-hmm.
So it's all about finding that happy middle in which you can balance and then also pedal and not die.
Mm-hmm. That's got to be sort of like almost like meditative. Like you're so focused on what you're doing and like having the proper form and balance and all of that like everything else just sort of like fades away a little bit.
Right.
Kind of, yeah, actually. You get really in the zone, and then when you get it, you're like so pumped. I remember always being like, oh my God, I got to the blue line, and then the yellow line that was on the gym, and then the red line, which is the farthest on the gym floor.
That's awesome. Have fun.
Yeah. That's amazing. I mean, yeah, that a unicycle around the neighborhood, that would be interesting.
You're gonna have to teach Alan. That's gonna be his new summer.
Oh boy,
summer go-to.
Don't threaten me with a good time.
So Gael, what are you into right now? Like, what are maybe a show or something, or a book, or could be anything really?
Have you picked up in quarantine?
Yeah.
Yeah, there we go. I guess I've been doing a lot of writing actually, which I've always done, but it's just for fun mostly. I'm a little bit of a poetry geek, so I do love poetry.
Mm-hmm.
So writing poetry and reading some poetry books too, like some new ones that I haven't dabbled in before, has been really nice. And just a lot of the deeper kind of, I like analyzing the poems and seeing what meanings I can pull from it. And then also learning what the writer intended to put behind the meaning, and seeing if I can like pick up on that, or what my own interpretation versus what their interpretation is, versus like similarities and differences between those.
Oh,
Nice.
wow. That sounds really
Yeah.
interesting. Just very like analytical, but almost on like a psychological level, like trying to get into it.
Yeah.
How long have you been writing poetry? Did that sort of just like really come up during like quarantine and everything, or is that something you've sort of always done?
I think it's something I've always done. Ever since I was little and knew how to form words, I think,
Yeah.
or make them into a way that sounded nice. I just kind of liked it. And then I was like, oh, this is a thing people do. I'm going to keep doing it. But definitely within the quarantine time frame, I've definitely done more of it.
Mhm.
Like I'm compiling a bunch of them now, and I'm hoping eventually I can get it published into a little poetry book.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so
Wow.
that's been something newer, and within being boxed away, that I've been able to focus more of my time on.
That's
Yeah,
awesome.
that is
Yeah,
incredible. Yeah. Um, fingers crossed and totally cheering you on that because
thank
that's
you.
incredible. That is not something that I think anyone I know of can say that they've been able to do. Like that would be so cool to get your work published like that,
Yeah,
especially for
yeah.
something you're passionate about.
Right.
I've even been talking to my sister's going to school for graphic design, and so I've like been like, hey, do you want to like design the cover for this eventually when I get it done? And she's like,
Yeah.
yeah. So it'll be like a nice little collaboration between the two of us too.
No kidding. Oh, how fun. Have you ever thought of not having ever read any of your work? Like has any of your work ever like spurred ideas for or maybe come from like thinking through like uh building your characters or like storylines or anything like that? Like have you ever tied sort of the two passions together, even just like in your head a little bit?
That's a good question. I mean, the closest thing to that I've done, I think, is spoken word, because that is almost like, it is performance in itself.
Oh yeah.
It's almost like that mix of the two, because you're putting,
Hmm.
like when you're reading the poem, you're putting your like acting it out too, like you're telling this story, but
Yeah.
through this like, communication that is maybe different than how we would talk on a day-to-day basis.
Hmm. Absolutely. I feel like that would be really cool. Even just like essentially the story of like your life with that. Like a
Yeah.
character
Oh
who,
yeah.
like that's her passion and this is what she does and like going through
Hmm.
Mhm.
yeah, I think that's really, really cool. Um but anyway.
Yeah. No, that makes sense.
Mhm.
Help your process.
Yeah. Yeah. I think I'll probably start doing like poetry maybe through a character I will play's perspective. I
Mhm.
think that could actually be really beneficial to learning
Yeah.
more about the character I'm embodying.
Mhm. Especially
Mhm.
if that's how you kind of like process things anyway and it's a way that
Exactly.
you're able to really like dig into and analyze certain things. I mean,
Yeah.
that could be perfect for that process. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Oh,
And
100%.
you're kind of like a philosopher then. You're making poetry. So
Yeah,
Yeah.
I love that.
Exactly.
of your characters and such.
Thanks.
Uh, so Gael, what got you started in acting? Like, what
Ooh.
was it?
Well, initially it was singing. So I sang long before I even considered acting.
Mhm.
Okay.
It was that kind of performance, that really got me interested in the expression in another way. So I was, I guess, sort of classically trained when I was younger. I had like a voice coach and stuff,
Mhm.
and we worked, and I would perform at recitals and stuff like that for elementary school, and so I was like really little. But after that, I think I wanted to continue exploring the arts and performance. And so that was when I started thinking about, oh, hey, drama club's a thing. Maybe I'll give it a try. So I was in like 7th grade when I did like a little spoof production of Sherlock, or like one of the Sherlock stories. And I was Watson, and it was so much fun. And I think that like made me really fall in love with it and decide that, hey, I can do this more. I can keep going with this if I really want to. So after that, I started looking at what my options for high school would be and what the best steps would be to take towards continuing theater and acting. And I learned about the St. Paul Conservatory for Performing Artists. So I went there for 3 years. And then in my last year, I transferred to the Purpose School of Arts in Golden Valley, which was also for acting. So I had a lot of my training and a lot of my skills that I still use to this day have come from both of those schools. And yeah, just ever since I've just been in love.
Wow. So if your like beginnings really started in singing, do you still sing, like, or have you done musical theater? Are you interested in doing it if you haven't done it? Or even maybe like a musical film?
Yeah, I actually do still sing. My stepbrother and I make music together sometimes. It's just like on the side, just like we haven't done a lot as of late because we haven't really found time to like meet up and be able to do things. Right. But he works on like the production side of it and mixes everything, and then I am the voice.
Wow. That's incredible.
Yeah. And then as for musical theater, I've done some in the past. I find myself gravitating a little away from it just because I cannot dance. It is bad. I can move and I can keep a rhythm, but give me choreography for dancing, I will fall on my face. It's gone.
That could be good for film though, because everything's so like subtle and small. So like it could be really small like movements that still work, versus maybe some like very large elaborate number.
That is very true.
So that could be fun.
Yeah.
So what was your first actual film role? Like, when did that happen?
Yes. Ooh, I was 19, I want to say. And I was cast in a short film who I believe they were attending MCAD. And this was their like thesis project for their film class. This film was called V, and kind of based on these two women who meet and end up falling in love, and it's kind of like exploring this dynamic between not only the racial differences that come to play in a relationship, but also, same-sex relationships. And, there's a lot of like different sort of aspects that it dove into. And it like, I actually, for this film, I got to travel too, which was really amazing.
Oh, fun.
Yeah, we filmed here, and then we also filmed in Nevada.
Ooh.
Yeah. Nice. Yeah. So it was just an incredible experience. And probably one of like my favorite projects that I've done, like just because because it was amazing, but also because I think it was my I think just the fact that it was my first film also really stuck out to me.
Yeah, that's an incredible like intro into the business, into the industry itself. That's really cool. Especially getting to travel. Like that's not really necessarily common around here.
No.
Yeah.
Wow.
And it's great that it's kind of a student film, so then you're learning while they're learning. So it's like, well, we can kind of learn together in that sense, and it's not just like one-sided, so to speak. So
yeah, absolutely.
yeah. I remember doing that back in like MCTC days. That's where I went. So those were the 03 to 05. So it was like
back in the day.
Yeah, long ago.
Very.
Oh.
20 years ago. What role in filmmaking is most intriguing to you other than acting?
Ooh.
What do you find that, like, on set that you've seen that it's really fascinating to you? So,
or even offset. I mean,
yeah,
you're a writer, so maybe that's it, or something like that's
Right.
not necessarily on set itself.
True, yeah.
That did come to mind, actually, for sure. Definitely the writing aspect of it, and just the whole creating this universe, pretty much, and making all of this, come into play and stuff. And it's just so incredible to me. And I've been, considering writing like a screenplay or even like a theater show at some point too. We did have like back in high school, we had like little classes in which we would do that too. And I found myself like, those were my favorite classes to take, like the ones where I could write and also create something that would be brought to life. And seeing that like result of what someone, like what another director would take and make with that was just absolutely incredible, because sometimes whoever was directing would make choices that I, as the writer, didn't even think about. And so like seeing that from both perspectives is just so fascinating to me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, absolutely. It is really fun seeing like some, like, just a general idea that one person comes up with can be interpreted so many different ways, and it can make such a difference having the right people included, whether it's director or any other crew member or the actors and cast. It can obviously really make or break it, but it can make something really beautiful out of just an idea. It's amazing.
Yeah.
So as an actor or actress, who's like your favorite actors to like watch? Like, who are you really drawn to?
Oh gosh. Oh,
just list them
hard.
off.
Yeah,
let them out.
Yeah, really.
We've got an hour. You can just keep going. It's fine.
Yeah.
there's so many. Oh gosh. Oh, I think
you can go top 5.
Just all of them.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
Just say all of
Let's
them.
See. Exactly. I think I have really enjoyed watching Jensen Ackles, actually, in the Supernatural series. He's been able to, I mean, this show has been on for like 15 years. It's finally done now, but watching his acting choices throughout these years has been incredible to me. And like in the show too, like a lot of the actors have played multiple characters for different reasons that I would make sense if you watch the show, but he's able to like capture each different character he plays so immensely well, and in the same series. So it's like, wow, it's just really admirable and really fascinating to watch. And then I am seeing also just his other work and comparing that and what I'm used to seeing him on is just fascinating too, because sometimes you're like, oh wait, that's the same guy. But it's also not, because he's embodying this other person.
Right.
Yeah. So he's definitely up there, along with countless other people that, it would take maybe a few years to list.
List everybody.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So I just looked him up here. Looks like he had 15 years with Supernatural.
Yeah.
Dang.
Yeah. So
and
just watching that progression has been wonderful.
Right. and now he's in a show I saw called The Boys on
Yep.
Amazon.
Mhm.
Who was he in that? Do you know? Have you seen that?
Yeah, I haven't actually seen it yet, but he's coming in season 3. He's going to play Soldier Boy.
Oh, okay. So it's still to come. Oh, I see.
Yes,
okay.
yeah. But it's
I was
gonna
like,
be,
I don't remember
I can't
Soldier
wait to
Boy.
see that too. Yeah. Very soon, you will.
Okay. Wow. Well, that's a good one. Especially someone who I guess maybe you've seen act off, a long period of time.
Mhm.
Yeah. I mean, like I started watching Supernatural when I was young. I was like 10, maybe, or 12.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
But my little brother and I got into it, and so they just continued on, and we kept watching it, and so I think also just having seen this actor work throughout all of these years has been really a cool experience for me too.
Mhm.
Right. Yeah, and we'll see what comes next. So there's obviously going to be other things. So usually when you make the transition from like TV to like movies, and I guess, obviously The Boys isn't a movie, but a lot of these series are more cinematic too. Some of these higher end franchises.
Mhm.
That's really cool. That's a good one. When it comes to like your favorite thing about acting and the process, is there anything one favorite thing that you like and why?
Ooh. I guess going back to that analyzing that we were talking about a little earlier, analyzing. So like, I really like coming or just sitting down and like looking at whoever I'm about to play and just taking them apart and dissecting them as a person basically, and seeing like almost like what makes them tick, what makes them unique, how are they different from me, how are they similar to me, and what can I give them that maybe another person couldn't, or what can they give me that will also, sorry, my cat is here.
That's okay. We love animals. So you're good. Totally welcome.
But yeah. So just like finding those things that I can really pull from the character and bring to life is just super, super fun to me. And then trying things in different ways, I think, is important too. Like if I'm going to go into like a scene with the intention of maybe, I don't know, bringing like if it's a high stakes scenario, like how am I going to play that? Am I going to play that like, oh my God, big freak out? Or is this person more of like, oh my God, this is a big freak out. I'm going to shut down and internalize everything. So like, do I play it big? Do I play it small? What would this character do? And because like, it really depends too on the person, how they'll react to like big, intense news. And also with film, a lot of it is micro acting too. So you can't be too big because that's just, it doesn't really work. And it doesn't, it's just kind of odd.
It's the Nicolas Cage factor. Like you're just a little too big most of the time. Yeah. No, I feel you. Yeah. And I feel like your ability to analyze like other bodies of work, like as you do with poetry and everything, has got to be so beneficial, like that skill, because it's not necessarily easy to really dissect a role, especially if you're like new to it. But if you already know how to do that with other like pieces of work and everything, then that has to just make it so much easier to like transition that into this world.
Yeah, I think definitely. Yeah, I mean, I even remember like one time recently during a project, I was in communication with the director, who was also the writer, and was like, would you be okay if I like whipped up a quick like storyboard about this character and just like sent it to you to make sure that this is also okay with you as the creator? And he's like, oh yeah, please do.
That's awesome.
So yeah, it was really fun to be able to do that. and you know, share my process with the creator to make sure that it would be something that we both felt was the best we could bring to the project.
Nice.
Yeah,
wait,
that's
so
incredible.
You made a storyboard?
Kind of. It was just more like almost like a personality chart of the character I was playing. Like what are their traits? What do they like? What do they don't like? What's like, how would they react to a certain thing happening in their life or whatever? Like, just like, yeah, like the most notable personality traits pretty much that I could bring to the film. And what, yeah, I'm going to stop talking now. I kind of lost.
You're good. Like really just talking, like picking apart like who they are, like what makes them tick,
yes.
to then be able to dive into each scene and determine like how would they properly react. That is really cool.
So can you draw? Is that something that you're...
Oh God, no, not even a little.
I was like, storyboard, that's like drawing. That's like okay.
No, it was mostly it was just like writing it all. So I guess
gotcha.
Storyboard maybe wouldn't be the right word to use, but it was more like just like writing down everything that I could think about, like how this character would be and what they'd be like, and you know,
right, little vignettes.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
I'm picturing like a verbal like vision board kind of a thing.
right.
Sort of like what I have in my head, and I love it. That would actually be so cool if you were to like, if that was something that you did with each character. And I mean, if it wasn't some like giant thing, but like, and then you kept it for each one and eventually made a scrapbook or something. That would be really neat.
Yes, that would be phenomenal.
Yeah. Anyway, so how has I mean, it sounds like you've done a lot, especially even with like your studies and acting and everything. How has your career progressed so far compared to what you maybe expected in the beginning? Or if maybe you just went in without expectation and you were just hoping to enjoy it? Like, how has that progressed for you?
Yeah, I mean, I was kind of scared coming into it. I'm going to admit, because I know that the acting business it's competitive. It's a lot sometimes. And it's kind of unexpected at times too. Like you can't plan for certain things. And if you can, sometimes it'll change.
Yeah.
So I think after high school, I didn't get a lot right away, and that was a little discouraging. However, I also kept thinking like, hey, this is a part of it. Like, come on, Gael, you signed up for this. But yeah, so it was like keeping that mindset of it'll come. You just got to keep working, just got to keep going, keep auditioning, keep jumping in there, and just telling myself, don't give up. Because there was definitely times in which I was like, maybe I should just not. But I kept going, and I'm really glad I did, because now I'm in contact with a bunch of different people, and have done so much and will continue to do like a lot, because I've got a few projects that I'm working on currently, so that's really fun too. And so it's just a lot about keeping up with it, and making sure that I don't get discouraged.
Right.
Yeah.
If you weren't, because I think every actor kind of goes through that mindset for at least at certain points in their career, whether it's in the beginning, middle. I feel like we hear it all the time with like the ones who've made it now, where they're like, oh, I was going to give up. I went to this last audition and then I was going to be done, and then I got it, and now I'm George Clooney or something stupid. But like I feel like everyone these days says that, where it's like, this is my last audition. I'm like, oh, well, it's a good one. Great.
Yeah.
But understanding like that everyone goes through that. If this wasn't something that if any point you decide or were to have decided like this isn't what you wanted to do anymore and you wanted to pursue something else, what would that other thing be, do you think? Like what else would you be doing?
I want to say writing.
Mm-hmm.
However, I think I do that regardless.
Yeah.
But like I also sometimes I think about maybe going, because I didn't go to college, so maybe going to college and studying something would be interesting. And like I love animals. So when I was really little, I quote wanted to be an animal explorer, whatever that meant.
Oh, love that.
But so maybe like a biologist even.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I know it's like a lot of schooling and a lot of work. And so but like if I had the world at my hands and was like starting anew, and then maybe I dive into that.
Mm-hmm. That's awesome. I love
Cool. That. Of all the films you've had to this point, I suppose what roles have been most inspiring or influential for you at this point or to this point?
Yeah. I think going back to that first film that I did, V, I think that one was really incredible because like the character I was playing, I actually played the character of V. And she's Latinx, like she's like me, she's, queer Latinx. And I think it was really cool to be able to also act someone like that for film and like representation wise. And also I got to sing in it, which was really cool.
Fun.
Yeah. So there was like V's thing was that, I mean, they like the differences between us were also very strong. Like V is definitely a more headstrong, like a little more subdued and a little more serious, I think, than me. They've been through a lot, so I think they're repressing a lot of this trauma. So they're like me, but if I hadn't gone to therapy. Yeah. So I think it was just fantastic to be able to play something like that. And V's struggles too also include their family was across the border. So they were like providing money for them and trying to help them out, but also unable to see them. And that's, I mean, I can kind of relate to that because I have family in like Guatemala and Costa Rica that I've never met before even.
Wow.
And so like some that I have, but
right.
But when it comes to this character, like it's their immediate family, the ones that they're close with and they love. So it was interesting playing with that too. Just the role was so incredibly complex. And I got to bring a lot to it, I feel. And it was a little challenging at times to play like someone a little more like closed off almost, because I think I'm kind of bubbly. Like I have a tendency to like to like laugh a lot and make dark jokes and stuff like that. But V is more quiet and more like reserved. So it was really cool to be able to play a character like that too. And also it was a great learning opportunity for more roles that can maybe be a little more serious. Because I do love playing more serious roles with more like intensity behind them.
Absolutely.
So yeah, that was probably one of the top ones, but yeah.
Is drama something you're more drawn to, or do you find yourself typically going, like when you're looking at roles and auditioning and all that, typically going towards more like comedy, or do you try to keep like an open mind across the board?
I do actually tend to gravitate more towards drama.
Mm.
Or at least like if not drama, like even horror.
Yeah.
Which is kind of weird, but
There's a lot of that here. I think that that's normal.
yeah.
Minnesota's big on like the horror films.
You're in a good spot
Yeah.
for that, yeah.
Yeah.
It's just it's so fun because that's not
Hmm.
like it's like you get to go to this place that you're not normally in.
Yeah.
I mean, I hope you wouldn't normally be in a place like that.
If you are, I feel like you need a lot more support than you're getting. And
Yeah.
you need some help.
Yeah.
That totally makes sense though. So speaking of like, so if that role was most influential for your career so far in something that you've done. What about things that you've watched? Like what inspires you as an actress when you're like watching it and taking things from it? TV shows, films, whatever, across the board.
Yeah.
Could be theater, whatever.
Yeah, theater. Yep.
Yeah. I think watching those almost more high stakes roles as well and scenes too, and seeing how the actor embodies it too, in their character, and also maybe learning from watching them a little too. But I think I think I also really like watching the micro acting. And just seeing those like intense facial expressions that are so subtle, but make the world's difference, you know. And you wouldn't expect it, but then it hits you and you're like, oh my gosh, there it is. So watching those close-ups of like a character coming to like a certain realization in them and taking that and showing that just through facial expression is so fascinating to me.
Yeah. Is there like a specific show or movie or something that you feel like you really get that from, like some of the characters? Or
the first example that comes to mind is I have been watching The Witcher.
Yes.
Yeah.
We love The Witcher here.
Good. Yes. I almost wore my Witcher shirt too.
Yes. Love it.
But I think there's a scene in the second season. I won't give away too much. But they have a close-up on Henry Cavill's face. And you could just see it. You can just see it. It's right there. Like that very subtle but very expressive little shift. And there's actually like a couple instances where they've done that, I think, in The Witcher. Yeah. And he takes it so well, and he does it immensely, just wonderful.
Yeah, he's incredible in that role.
I agree.
I feel like a lot of people probably like go towards his like role as Superman or something that's really like a game changer for him, but I think it's The Witcher, honestly. Like that's just a whole other level.
I have to agree.
Yeah, I think man, just hearing him in like the same character from the games to the series, it's just like it's spot on. It's like he used that as like a case study or something, and then he just did it. He is that, you know. It's like wow.
I mean, like he was a fan before too, so I think that
which is awesome.
Yeah, that even makes it like more incredible too, and just that much richer that like just that he brings to the role.
Yeah. I played the Wild Hunt, and it's just kind of like, is this Henry Cavill speaking here? Is he doing this too?
It would be really funny if he was, and we were all just second guessing it. I'm like, wait a second, it sounds so similar, and it's actually
right.
Oh my gosh,
that would be wild.
Yeah, just that deep voice, that you know.
Yeah, he does it very well.
Yeah,
he does. Yes.
Yeah, I could listen to him do that all day.
Yeah,
same.
That's all I'm gonna say. Yeah,
same.
Yeah.
Gael, is there something you really want to do now more than ever?
Ooh. Like project-wise for a film?
Yeah,
Or
yeah, it could be a film, maybe a theater or musical. I mean,
Could be anything.
that's a
a
good question.
choreographed dance. I don't know.
Maybe you want to write your own script and then star in it and
Yes.
direct it and do all the things and like have it be your baby. Like it could be anything.
That actually, that probably. I have a short script for like, I don't know, like a very short film, but so I really want to get that on its feet at some point this year. I think that would be wonderful to do. But yeah, it's also kind of intense, but I think that's important, and it deals with grief. So it's it's a lot, but I think it's important because I feel like grief has kind of become a little taboo, and people don't quite know unless they experience it what the process is. And like, even like I have experience with grief, and it's just a very messy process in general. Like a lot of the times I don't even know what to expect, and something will hit me that reminds me of the person that I lost, and just so randomly, and I'm like, why? I wasn't prepared. So
Absolutely.
I think it'd be really cool to get that project underway, because I want to be able to connect with audience members who maybe have experienced grief, and let them know that they're not alone.
Yeah, I feel like that's a subject that doesn't necessarily talked about very much, but you're right. Everyone that I know who's experienced it really has made, I've actually had a lot of conversations about it over the last like 2.5 years, quarantine and all, where it's, everyone around them sort of expects the grieving period to be very like immediate. And then after that, you're just over it and life goes on, and too bad. And you don't have to, like, you should just be fine and the world moves on. And that's not how it works.
No.
So I think touching on that and really exploring it and pointing it out could help those not only who have gone through it, but even those who haven't, to sort of better educate them as to what it's actually like.
Exactly.
That's incredible. I love that.
Thank you. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So is that sort of what's next for you? You mentioned you have a few things sort of in the works right now. Like what's next coming up for Gael?
Yeah. So I have, that I would like to get started off in the spring, maybe summer, if I have to wait a little bit, but we'll see. But yeah, so I have a short film that I'm working on. I have a feature film that I have the script for, but I think they're just waiting to get everybody cast before we even do anything with that. Right. So it's a lot of waiting for that one. And then I just recently actually got an email a couple days ago that I was cast in a short film that'll be, I think, this weekend filming. So it's also very, I know.
Very fast.
It's like very fast turnabout for sure. And that's another thing in the industry that you got to be ready for, I feel. Yeah. It's like random stuff like that. And you're like, oh my gosh, here we go. Let's do it. But yeah, so that's, that was a really cool thing to find out. And then I have an audition scheduled for Tuesday for actually a theater production, which will be really cool to see if that turns into something. Yeah.
Theater's
That's
back.
Amazing.
Love it.
Yeah, you got a lot of irons in the fire.
So. Yeah. It all kind of hit all of a sudden, but it's fun. It's great.
Yeah, that's phenomenal. Way better than the opposite.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you've been doing great work on Dana versus Judy, the short film that we've been prepping forever for.
Thank you. No, it's been a fantastic process. I'm very much enjoying it, and I'm so excited to start filming.
Yeah, me too. Soon enough, Gael, but not as soon as that short film. So,
not quite.
That's awesome, though, that you have so many different projects going at once. Do you have anything coming up for like Z Fest or anything like that? Or
I actually today I was supposed to maybe fill it in for a Zephyr's role. They had an actor drop and they needed help. But I just got the text today that they've decided to just stop the whole project, which I'm, it's a bummer, but it happens,
Right.
and
Absolutely.
I just feel bad for that team because I'm sure they worked really hard on trying to get it prepped and stuff. But yeah, but it was, nice to be able to make, no, it's okay. I was just going to say it was nice to be able to help if they needed.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. That's great though, that you're such a team player like that too, that you're willing to like step in if need be, if you can. So, but also it's just kind of like, I've been in those situations where it's like, it looks like it, well, like with Dana versus Judy, it's like, is this film ever going to happen? You know?
It just gets a lot.
Yeah.
It just gets a lot.
Because, I feel like that happens for me for almost all my productions where it's just kind of like, I don't know if I'm going to this is going to be any good, and like from the writing to that stage, and then like production, getting ready for production, like how are we going to pull off a fight scene? I've never done, like, I always tend to do something I've never done before in a film, like speaking French or something. Just things that are out of my element that I want to get better at. So, things like, and then post-production, like, can you make it sound good? Can you make it look good? Can you, all these things. So it's like the three phases of grieving for a film. It's like, it's just, or 3 stages of hell, I suppose, of a film. So it's just those things. Yeah.
And I'm sure the editing process is just so much too. Like as cool as it seems, I'm sure it's a lot of hard work, and because you probably also think about like, hey, this is not how I wanted it to be,
right? But
now I have to deal with it. or maybe like it'll even turn out better than you thought sometimes. Best case scenario.
Yeah.
Right. Absolutely. And that's what I feel like for like Z-Fest films or any of these films with timelines where there is a finite stop date.
Yep.
And you have to turn it in. Otherwise, like the other team, you just don't get your film, or at least for Z-Fest. But you could still make your film. You don't need Z-Fest necessarily.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
Well, Gael, where can people find your work or contact you?
I have some things that are out on YouTube. Some little things here and there. I mean, I'm with a couple of agencies around town. So I'm with, I just got signed on with Agency Models and Talent. And I also work with More Creative. So I'm on those sites for sure. If anybody wants to work with me, I'd love to partake.
Fantastic. All right. And then the big one, Gael, the big question, before we let you get on with the rest of your afternoon, is what do you want people to most remember about you?
Ooh. Oh my gosh.
And it could be
big
like
existential
question. And it can be like after you've worked with people, it could be after people like view your work and they're watching your films. It can literally anything. It could be after people are reading your writing. Like, just what do you want to leave people with?
Well, I think I would like to leave people with like a sense of, I may not know you, I may not understand the things you've been through, but I love you and you're not alone.
I love that. That just warmed my heart.
Yeah,
that is amazing. Well, I have known you for an entire hour now, and I can say that I think that you absolutely leave that with people.
Thank you.
And so thank you so much for taking the time out of your day to hop on here and chat with us.
Oh, thank you. This was a blast. I'm so happy to be here.
Yeah, this was amazing. We'll have to have you on again soon. And for everyone listening, thank you for joining us. And until next time, this is Film in Minnesota.